It's time for the Prince of all Saiyans to step up to the plate. And you know what Prince of all Saiyans I'm talking about. What's up everybody, StevDeS here. I thought I was gonna do Manco's part. Shut up and go wait for matchmaking. Overwatch loyalist. Anyway, this video got a lot of views as far as this channel is concerned, so I just had to roll out part 2 as soon as I could. I mean, it's a thought that actually didn't leave my head. Driving to work and recording my own voice has never felt so exhilarating. Female Vegeta. And this whole series started with a What If series from Mr. Lawrence Simpson, aka Moscow X, over on the Moscow X channel. He wanted to encourage more Dragon Ball fanfiction, more Dragon Ball what-ifery, and I just had to step up to the plate with something. I didn't think it would be what if Vegeta was born female. I thought it would be a lot more forward, but I was inspired by his work with what if Goku was born female. That is where I got the inspiration for this one, to go all the way back to Vegeta's childhood and think of a good scenario that would fit pretty well together. In the first part, Queen Kasaba saved Tarble's life before the planet's destruction, and I got to really think about how Planet Vegeta functioned as far as a society is concerned. Tarble escaped and joined up with the trio of Saiyans we know before the beginning of the Saiyan Saga now. It's safe to say that he doesn't fit in. Yeah, he was kind of a mama's boy, and with big sister Vegeta there to always be the tough one, he wasn't really the tough one. But he did learn quite a few skills other than what's basic for Frieza's forces. But that doesn't stop him from being a prideful Saiyan, as he stepped forward and offered to go with Raditz to Earth to start off the Saiyan Saga. And that's where we're starting off with this part. Let's go. To span a wider area of Earth, Tarble thought it would be necessary to program the pods to land a little ways away from each other. Let's say about 2 miles away from each other, somewhere that the scouters could still pick up where Raditz is and where Tarble is. That way they can coordinate and triangulate their position based on whatever they meet first. And when you know it, they meet the farmer with shotgun first. Specifically, Raditz meets the farmer with a shotgun first. And it goes about the same as the anime. However, Tarble gets to Raditz just as he's about to flick the bullet that destroys the gun and I think implants directly into the guy's lung? I don't know. It's not really that specific. After witnessing the bullet go, Tarble's like, why'd you do that? It doesn't really make any sense. We could have gotten some information out of him. Raditz then turns to Tarble and says, because he's weak. What other reason would I need? Tarble then just shrugs and decides, you know what, let's just find Kakarot and get off here. It's obvious he failed his mission. And they do just that, both using their scouters in order to try to find Kakarot. This is a change from the regular format of the story because with 2 scouters, they're able to search 2 different directions. One scouter will pick up Piccolo's power level. Thank you, Schmidt. And the other one will pick up Gohan and Goku's power level. Thank you, Schmidt. And they decide that 335 is probably way better, and it's probably closer to a Saiyan's power level by this point. So, let's go for it. We're going to go for the big one first. Therefore, the meeting with Raditz and Piccolo does not occur. But does Piccolo stay out of this scene and stay out of it? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say that Piccolo does sense that there are 2 large power levels heading that way.
Oh, I better get on that. It doesn't seem good for me. Dust in my eye. I should probably stop hanging out in wastelands.
It's not long after Goku lands, says hi, and introduces Gohan that the Saiyans show up on the beach. This is gonna kick off quickly. Tarble steps forward and decides to be cordial because it's obvious Kakarot, knows these people, hasn't destroyed them yet. Maybe they need to get off on the right foot before they just start going gung-ho about stuff. So Tarble does just that, explaining who they are, what they're doing here to recruit Kakarot, just not mentioning that little tidbit about destroying the planet. It's clear that Kakarot's friendly with these people. Maybe they'll be useful for something down the line. I don't know, maybe a few meat shields between the Saiyans and whatever forces are on this planet. Goku, of course, has no idea who these people are. He has no clue what's going on here, and the fact that they're saying that they know him? No, I've only met you once. I don't know who you are. But this naivete does annoy Raditz, and this is the second time he's getting annoyed at this point. The first time, Tarble asking a stupid question with the farmer. The second time, his brother doesn't even recognize him. This sucks. So he's going to yell, "I'm your brother, and that is your true name, Kakarot! You are a Saiyan like we are! Why do you not remember this?" Tarble then just tells Raditz, "Calm down, man, calm down. Let me talk this out." He's starting to listen. Just calm down. He then starts asking questions about the clueless Saiyan's childhood. Was it ever a time where he looked at the full moon and he didn't remember what happened the previous night, but there was a lot of destruction? Does his friends over there, if they're compatriots or whatever they are, do they recognize that he might have been a giant monkey at one time? Was there ever a point, Kakarot, that you ever got more powerful after being beaten to near death? Most importantly, did you ever happen to have a tail, and then he whips out his tail, like this one? This all begins to click with Goku, and he starts understanding that, whoa, maybe I'm not an Earthling. Maybe I am what these things are saying, or these guys are saying. You guys are guys, right? With Goku just starting to come around, Raditz opens his big mouth and says, "Ah, good. Brother, you understand who we are. So why don't we get on with conquering this world already?" Was I not supposed to say that? This, of course, makes Goku just straight reject him. And Krillin just gets between the two, just like, "Hey, calm down. Hey, like what this guy's saying. We can talk this out." And then he promptly gets tail whipped into the side of Kame House. Goku doesn't take kindly to this because, A, Krillin is his best friend, and B, it's Kame House. Stop breaking Kame House. Tarble tries to get Raditz to stop, but Raditz doesn't want to hear it. He gut kicks Goku, just like in the anime, and takes Gohan, saying, "If you won't be a brutal Saiyan, then I'll teach this child to be. You have a day in order to fess up and kill, say, 100 of these Earthlings. That'll be enough." And then he takes off, Tarble completely dumbfounded. He looks to the crew, sighs, and flies off. Tarble then lands shortly after Gohan is put into the pod and just starts laying into Raditz. Why did you do that? He was just starting to listen. But Raditz doesn't want to hear any of this. Raditz stands up to Tarble, saying that Kakarot is weak. Saiyans don't talk, they show their power over the weak. Talking solves nothing. The only way you get power and respect is through strength. As Raditz is going on with this lecture about power and strength, Piccolo and Goku arrive on the scene. Piccolo had his power suppressed and was witnessing from a distance because he knew he couldn't take either one on by himself, and he wanted to see Goku fail. Come on. The Namekian's still a bad guy. Give the guy a laugh. He's all alone in the wasteland. Oh man, I still got something in my eye from that scene. Tarble decides, after all that talk about strength, you go ahead and take them. There's no way their power levels are more than yours, so you got this. The battle continues just like it does in the anime up until Raditz has Goku under his boot. Tarble then realizes Raditz might go off the deep end here and yells at him to stop. It's not good if you kill the person we came to get in the first place. This strikes the Elder Saiyan's last nerve because then he just glares at Tarble angrily. "I am so sick of your little brother routine just because Vegeta is the unit leader. You are a Saiyan, heir to the throne, a prince, a warrior prince.
What kind of warrior prince would rather look at machines and maps rather than test their mettle on the battlefield? One of these days, you will be alone. You won't have a sister to save you. And if you can't fight, then you will die. Me?
Yeah, Piccolo was charging the special beam cannon, and with all that lecturing, he thought, what better opportunity do I have to unleash this thing? Goku being pounded into the ground? This is making me feel good, and I got to kill a Saiyan. Tarble then stands shocked. Because of him, a Saiyan died. He takes a couple of steps back, processing this, and flies off to head back to his pod. Goku is picked up by Bulma and Krillin, and Bulma gets Gohan out of the pod using Raditz's scouter, because that's what scouters can do. However, before he does die, he does give us the warning that we hear in the Saiyan Saga, that 2 more powerful Saiyans are gonna come and finish the job that he knows that other cowardly, pathetic sack of droppings won't be able to do. I think it's safe to say if you took a hole in the chest because someone was incompetent, yeah, you wouldn't have any faith in him either. Since Piccolo hung around, he doesn't really like his odds against 2 Saiyans. He decides reluctantly to go with the Z crew. And there's one important thing here. Vegeta and Nappa's mission is slightly different. They're not here to get the Dragon Balls. They're not going to be here to get the Dragon Balls. They're going to be here to avenge Raditz and finish off this planet. The Dragon Balls were not mentioned. After the crew go up to Kami's in order to really understand what's going on and get some training, as well as heal Goku with some sensu beans, the idea that Kami can't help them past this point is something that's very believable. He doesn't have the proper training to get Goku, or Piccolo for that matter, any stronger to really just deal with this threat outright. He can make them stronger, sure, but when it comes down to the power levels that the Saiyans are throwing out, there's no way. But he does talk to King Yama, and he organizes, like Masako says in some of his other what-ifs, and yes, I'm borrowing that one Earthling can go up and train with King Kai. Naturally, that's Goku. Goku's the main character in Dragon Ball Z. Goku's gonna be the first to go. Piccolo crosses his arms like,
Don't worry, I'll train with you and your worthless pals. We'll be able to hold them off until you get here.
After Goku leaves, saying goodbye to Gohan and Bulma and Krillin, saying that he'll be back soon, that's when Piccolo turns to Popo and says,
Well, start training.
Well, what do you mean, Mr. Piccolo?
I mean, you're gonna tell Kami, who's technically my other half, to get training when he gets back.
He then grabs Gohan and flies off. But StevDeS, hold on a second. Why would he take Gohan? Gohan didn't show the rage boost from earlier. But he did prove from the tail mentioning that he's Saiyan. And he overheard Tarble speaking about the Zenkai boost, coupled with a rigorous training routine as well as putting the kid in danger more times than not. I think that Piccolo's brutal training style would definitely bring something out in the kid, and I think Piccolo would be banking on that this time. While all that is going on, Tarble is at his pod reporting to Vegeta about what happened, and Vegeta had been listening, and she's not very happy. She gives him an ultimatum. You failed us, brother. I knew I shouldn't have trusted you. Stay out of our way when we get to Earth, or I will be forced to end you due to your insolence. Tarble, of course, does not take this well, and angrily, he takes his scouter off, throws it in his pod, and then blasts the whole thing away. After the dust settles, he gathers his thoughts and realizes, I can't sense energy. Oh man, I just blew up my only scouter. Wait, Raditz has a scouter. He heads back so that he can take Raditz's scouter and give him a proper burial, but the scouter's missing. Bulma took it. Tarble thinks for a moment and remembers Kame House relatively well. Maybe that's a homestead for these friends. Maybe they took it. That's what I need to do. Okay, so We arrived here. I was facing that way, and I came from
that direction. Let's go.
Yeah, thanks to his navigation training, finding Kame House isn't really a big deal without a scouter. So, he lands on the beach just as Bulma is reading power levels like she does in the anime. When Tarble lands, Krillin senses it and immediately gets on the porch, taking a battle stance. He's the only one that can defend Roshi and Bulma from this alien guy. Tarble is able to talk Krillin down and explain that the only way he's going to survive is if he actually helps the Earthlings. But then Krillin asks,
What? Why should we trust you? Your friend hurt my best friend.
Tarble then notices that Bulma's wearing the scouter. Earthwoman, point that thing at me. She does, and reads that his power level is 2,760? Krillin's was only 206. Oh no. He understands the shock on her face, but then looks at her and says, if you think that's bad, my sister is about 8 times that. And the one that took care of us since we were children, he's twice my power now. Let's face it, you need me. And you're going to need to band together with me if you have any chance of this planet's survival. Krillin understands, and he's willing to give Tarble the benefit of the doubt as they go to recruit the Z-Fighters in order to lead them to Kami's Lookout. While Krillin and Tarble are recruiting the Z-Fighters to go to Kami's Lookout, that is Bulma's opportunity to go get the Dragon Balls. They're gonna be needed. Just in case things go south and, I don't know, everybody dies. Yeah, we need a way to get rid of the Saiyans one way or the other. And after a few weeks of training, things seem to be running smoothly, but not smoothly enough to Tarble's liking. He remembers how Piccolo handled against Raditz, and having him and the boy on their side would be an addition and something that could tip the balances whenever his sister does arrive. Tarble asks about the full moon on Earth and is wondering when the next one is to show up. They get the answers either from Kami or from Krillin, or somebody will know. More than likely Popo or Kami. Tarble then figures out a way to get Gohan and Piccolo to join the fold, with the intention of keeping Gohan's tail intact. He knows that if they can take Nappa out, Vegeta will not resort to the Powerball tactic that he knows she knows. He also wants to recruit Piccolo because Namekians have a lot of potential and they can unlock that potential. So why not? Having a strong warrior here, stronger than the rest of them, would pay dividends for everybody's training in the long run. He needs both of them. Krillin, having gotten to know Tarble a little bit better in the few weeks of training, decides, well, you might need some help with that. I don't think Piccolo will keep Gohan's tail on, especially after seeing 2 giant monkeys go at it. Tarble then heads out and uses the scouter to try to get Piccolo and Gohan's power level. Krillin can sense they're close, but that's about all he can sense. As long as they get within the general area, Tarble's plan should work. When the full moon comes out, Krillin is to tell him, hey, time to look up, and Tarble will become a great ape as well. The plan is, while the great apes are going at it, Krillin is to confront Piccolo and tell him to hold up and listen to the Saiyan because he's been kind of useful. And by this point, after the first few weeks, I would think Krillin has closed the gap significantly between him and Piccolo's power level. The plan goes off mostly without a hitch. Tarble does take a few hits from Great Ape Gohan, and wow, he didn't expect the Great Ape of Gohan to be so powerful. But then again, there is a couple things to consider here. Tarble has been part of less missions, therefore he's got less of a hold of the Great Ape form. He's about as ragey as Gohan is, but Gohan has absolutely no control over that rage. Yeah, so even though Tarble does take a few hits, it's not really a few hits he could have helped. Krillin does intercept Piccolo, and Piccolo does blow up the moon just like he does in the anime, but he's a lot more reserved and he's willing to listen to the Saiyan for a minute. Tarble takes the opportunity to explain, first thanking the Namekian for listening to him, that Vegeta has something called a Powerball technique. He hasn't been able to make the form work himself. He's tried every now and then, but Vegeta's mastered it, and if she does it, they're going to have to deal not with one Great Ape, but two. There's two Saiyans. Both of them have tails. But if she alone has to fight two Great Apes, she's probably not going to resort to it because it'll be more difficult that way. And so Tarble tells Piccolo that they're going to be taking Gohan so that Gohan can train and try to refine the form alongside Tarble. Tarble can also get a hold of the form because he can kind of control it, but he's still angry and he still will make decisions mid-battle that doesn't really help anybody. But over time and training every full moon, they're able to do it. But StevDeS, he just blew up the moon. How are you going to make the moon happen? Ah, but that's where the pod comes in. Every Saiyan pod is equipped with a hologram of the moon to initiate the Great Ape transformation on babies. If they can use that, they can control when the Great Ape training happens. So maybe once every 2 weeks, Gohan and him go out and decide to activate it, become Great Apes, and they have a small team. I want to say Piccolo and Krillin grab the pod and get it away after, so it doesn't break. Tarble then explains that Piccolo is also vital to this because he is Earth's greatest warrior with a pathetic power level of 322. And when it comes down to how the battle will go, Tarble just says he better come along, otherwise he's not going to prove very useful. If he's training on his own out here, he's not going to get very much stronger for when his sister comes. They're going to come in full force, and he better be ready. And the only way he'll be ready is if he comes to the lookout with everyone else. Piccolo obliges. And that is where we end off, with Piccolo, an unconscious Gohan, clothed because,
Clothes beam!
Krillin and Tarble heading back to the lookout so they can train and prepare for the Saiyan arrival. So what do you guys think? Do you think Tarble's going to add anything when Vegeta and Nappa comes along? Do you think that maybe the Z Fighters would be better off to have the Saiyan to fight against? I mean, he is a Saiyan, he's quite a lot more powerful. If they can go all out against this guy, then chances are their power levels will raise significantly. And they'll have a better time with the Saiyans. At least that's my estimate. I haven't done the math yet, but I will do the math for part 3. I hope you like, comment, and subscribe, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.